Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into the brutal, absolutely transformative world of Jack London's most famous companion novels. We're going to look closely at the primal forces that shape both animal and human nature when the cozy comforts of modern life are completely stripped away.
So what actually happens when you strip away civilization? It's a fascinating question, right? To answer it, we really have to look at what happens when both humans and animals are pushed to the absolute edge of survival. We like to think of ourselves as so refined, driven by logic and high morality, but out in the frozen, unforgiving wilderness, well, the rules completely change.
Section 1. London and the Klondike. Let's get right into it.
Before Jack London could write about the harsh laws of nature, he literally had to live them. This brings us to a concept called biographical criticism, which is basically just analyzing a literary work through the lens of the author's own life experiences. And in London's case, his brutal year in the Yukon is practically tattooed onto every single page he ever wrote.
London's path was not easy. He was a grammar school dropout who eventually pushed his way into UC Berkeley, only to drop out again after just one semester because, well, the classes were just way too slow for him. He chose instead to self-educate, voraciously reading over 15 hours a day. And that relentless drive, it carried him right into the 1897 Klondike Gold Rush.
Now, let's talk about the physical toll of this journey, because it was staggering. The Canadian government enforced a very strict rule for the gold rush. Every single prospector had to carry 1,000 pounds of gear just to survive the trek over the mountains. 20 pounds of flour, 12 pounds of bacon, 12 pounds of beans. You get the idea. It paints a really stark picture. You either came prepared or you literally didn't come back at all. And the journey truly was devastating. London's own brother-in-law died in the Klondike, and London himself was struck down by scurvy during that harsh winter, forcing him to return home in 1898. But here's the crazy part. Despite all that darkness and tragedy, the single agonizing year provided the raw inspiration for his greatest literary masterpieces.
Moving on to Section 2, the Law of Nature.
That visceral struggle for existence directly shaped the core theme of his writing. London became a massive champion of naturalism. If you're not familiar, this is a literary perspective where characters aren't driven by high-minded ideals or abstract reasoning. Instead, they are completely at the mercy of instinct, environment, and physical sensation. In the wild, pure survival dictates everything you do.
London actually wrote specifically to protest the humanizing of animals in literature. He insisted that his dog heroes were directed entirely by instinct and emotion, rather than human logic. As he put it, he did not think these things, he merely did them. He wanted to really hammer home that when a dog fights for its life, it doesn't pontificate, it just acts.
And as he provocatively noted in his essay, The Other Animals, we humans are certainly not exempt from these primal drives either. He wrote, "Let us be very humble. We who are so very human are very animal. We might build cities and wear suits, but under extreme pressure, London believed we are just as susceptible to the brutal laws of nature as any wolf or dog."
Section 3. Buck. Into the Wild. To see this naturalistic philosophy in action, let's look at his first iconic protagonist, Buck, from The Call of the Wild. London tells this story through a third-person limited omniscient narrator. Basically, he places us directly inside the mind of this massive St. Bernard Scott Shepherd mix. We don't just watch Buck from afar, we actually experience his confusion, his pain, and his awakening wild instincts firsthand. Jerked from the comfortable heart of civilization as a pampered pet and flung straight into the primordial north, Buck quickly learns the law of club and fang. After being brutally beaten by a man, Buck realizes a terrifying truth. He stands absolutely no chance against a human with a club. The rules of his old, cozy life are completely dead. So the crucial point here is that to survive, Buck has to adapt. And this adaptation results in what London describes as the decay, or going to pieces, of his moral nature. In this hostile Northland environment, concepts like fairness and property are a vain thing. They're nothing but a huge handicap in the ruthless struggle for existence. To live, Buck has to learn to steal, fight, and dominate. Section 4. White Fang, Finding Humanity. But what if we completely reverse that journey? What if we went from the wild into civilization? Well, that's exactly what London did in his 1906 companion novel, White Fang. Using an intensely animal-centered perspective, we follow a wolf dog who is born directly into the savage rule of eat or be eaten. Instead of losing civilization, White Fang has never even known it.
White Fang's arc is a really remarkable psychological evolution. He begins his life enduring fear and starvation out in the wild. When he finally encounters humans, it's only to suffer brutal abuse, which obviously hardens him into a vicious fighter. But then, his life is forever changed by the patient care and compassion of one man named Weedon Scott.
Through this singular, sustained act of kindness from Scott, White Fang slowly transforms. It's this gradual, highly believable evolution from a savage, fearful creature into a fiercely loyal companion. He essentially learns trust over fear, loyalty over violence, and connection over isolation.
And that brings us to Section 5, Instinct, Survival, and Compassion.
These two novels are ultimately intertwined, grappling with this massive nature versus nurture debate. Just look at the brilliant mirror effect London created here. Buck sheds civilization to embrace his primal instincts because his environment demands it for survival. Meanwhile, White Fang sheds his inherent wildness through the healing power of human compassion. They are two completely opposite journeys, answering the exact same questions about existence.
Both of these incredible stories confirm that environment fundamentally shapes behavior, but more importantly, they prove a timeless psychological truth. While cruelty predictably breeds violence, patience and compassion offer the very real possibility of redemption and transformation.
Which leaves us with this final, profound thought to ponder about our own human nature. We spend so much time building armor to survive in tough environments, but in a world ruled by Fang and Club, could it be that kindness and connection are actually the ultimate survival tools? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope it leaves you eager to dig deeper into the wild world of Jack London.